Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there, wondering yourself, why am I looking at this video? You know, I've been on YouTube a lot lately, and I love video games. So naturally, I'm gonna search up video game related videos. Now I've seen tons of them. I've seen pickups. I've seen reviews. I've seen cons. I've seen everything. Now you're gonna ask yourself right now, what makes this guy different, besides the fact that he's Hispanic? Now I'm telling you right now, I've got babies. What do you got? Okay, man. It's my first video, so I'm gonna give a little bit of an introduction. My name is Gabriel, but I also go by the name of Messi. Reason for it? I don't know. But this is my game room. Well, actually, it's more like my game room / dining room / laundry room / storage room. So you can call it my game wall. But eventually, it will be a game room. I promise you that. I promise you that. Eventually, once I have enough space, move to a bigger house, it'll be a game room. Another thing I have to mention is obviously I have children. This is my son. Say hi, son. Hi. You don't care. Messi Jr. And I also have 4 other kids. These are, I'm not calling them stepchildren. These are my kids, okay? They're my wife's from previous relationship, but those kids are mine. I'll tell you that right now. Don't you throw it again. I'm not going to pick it up. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, but so I'm on a budget. You know, I got 5 kids to take care of. You know, we have bills to pay. So when it comes to my collection, to me that always comes second. My kids are always gonna come first. So I may not have the greatest pickups, but you know, this is like a story. You know, it's like the climatic buildup of a game collector's collection. You know, I mean, it's a classic story of the underdog becoming a champion. Instead of me becoming a champion, I'm just gonna become more endowed in my, my nerdiness, I guess you could say. I don't know what else I mention. I guess the other thing I mentioned is, you know, I'm 19 years old, so you know I'm fairly young. And when it comes to game collecting, I haven't been doing it that long. You know, I mean, I've always played video games since as far back as I can remember. You know, those summer vacations, just, hey, talking, thank you. Since all those summer vacations, you know, hours upon hours of trying to beat games and failing, you know, terribly. But now that I'm older, you know, I've gotten back into it just like I was when I was a kid. You know, I just love to go out and find games that were around whenever I was young that I didn't get to experience. You know, because when I was a kid, you know, I got a new video game maybe every 2 to 3 months or so. And I never got a brand new video game. Because, you know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, back in the day we had to pay $60. Now, if I got a video game, it was from somebody that already had it, a garage sale or something like that. You know, so when it came to my parents, if it was over like $10 or $15, it was too expensive. I'm still like that today, you know. Unless you know, some special edition that comes with a whole bunch of goodies. You know, I'm not gonna spend more than you know, $15. Now I know that made me sound cheap, but like I said, I got kids to feed. I mean, look at this thing. Look at it. It's a big boy. Now, I got into collecting about last year. Because of my son, not this one. I mean, I love him, but my oldest son, Xavier. He's 5 years old right now, but whenever I started, he was about 3, and he loved watching me play games. I think the first one he ever saw me play might have been Twisted Metal, and he watched me play, and you could see the jealousy in his eye. He wanted to play because that kid loves cars, and like any other boy, he loves destruction. So I gave him a try at it, and you know, fell in love. And ever since then, you know, he's wanted to play all types of games, but every game that I've ever got myself was for an adult. It was newer gen games. It's like, just treat me like a dog, trying to make me go fetch. But anyways, there were newer gen games, a lot more complicated than when I was growing up. See, when I was growing up, you know, there's only like 3 buttons on a controller. Nowadays, you know, there's buttons upon buttons and bumpers and triggers and all types of things. Okay, go get it. Go get it. There's all types of things that you have to know when you're playing one of these games. Okay, come back. So for him, it was far too difficult. So I looked up online. I seen a Sega Genesis, and that was the first system that I ever owned. So I said, you know, this is the perfect thing to get him into gaming. You know, because the old school games to me are, well, they're a lot more challenging, but when it comes to just playing the first couple of levels, which is, you know, what I did, you know, it's a lot easier. There's not a lot of buttons that you have to remember. You enjoying yourself? So I got on the Sega Genesis, and once I played some of the old games that I had, one being Earthworm Jim, I was hooked. I said, oh man, I gotta get every old system that I had, all the old games that I had. I gotta find games that I never got to experience as a child. You know, now that I'm an adult, you know, I'm the boss. I mean, my wife says she is, but you know, she ain't here right now. No good. Anyways, but this video to me, my first video, will make it a little bit special, just because it's my first one. You know, because it's a first on a first. You know, and that'll make sense right now. But let me tell you this, okay? This may sound pretty blasphemous whenever it comes to collecting video games, but I've never owned a Super Nintendo. Actually, I've never even owned a regular Nintendo. No, I never had an NES. Now, before somebody exits out the video, put the thumbs down, comments, you know, all I gotta say is, like I said, life for me, you know, it wasn't all about video games. I went through a lot of stuff that I had to put in front of all that, you know? I mean, even as a kid, my parents were struggling, so I wasn't the type of kid that was begging mommy and daddy for an iPad like nowadays. They're like, oh, mama, can I have an iPad, please? Please, all my friends are getting one. And mom was like, I don't know, should I pay the light bill? Should I get her iPad? Should I pay the light bill? Should I get her iPad? If I get her iPad, well then she can play on the iPad, but then if we don't got a light, how's she gonna charge it? So you really don't know. You know, it gets very, very hard nowadays to tell a kid no. But back then, I never asked for anything. I only received what was given to me out of love, not out of guilt. You need, all you kids out there, like, any of y'all watching this, even if it's one, remember that. Your parents are gonna appreciate it. Mine do. That's why they still talk to me. They still, even though I wear hats like this, they still talk to me. Anyways, but I've never had a Super Nintendo. Always wanted one. Always dreamed of having one because my older cousins, they had one. And every now and then we went across town over to their house. Automatically, you know, I was like, oh, is it out? Is it out? Are they gonna play? Are they gonna let me play? Because, you know, they have some cool games. I can't remember a lot of them. I know they had Contra for sure. I remember some TMNT games. I don't know which ones they were. You know, it was about, you know, maybe 14 or 13 years ago. So I don't know. But I always wanted one. I always thought it was cool, even though a lot of people say, you know, the Famicom looks a lot better. I always like the purple buttons. I like purple, okay? That's just the pimping. Alright, I like purple. But I always wanted one and never got around to getting one just because, like, right now, the lowest I've ever seen was like $54. And to me, that's a lot of money. But we was at Goodwill the other day, and that's the only thrift store around here that locally that's, you know, within a 30-minute drive is Goodwill. So if there's nothing there, then most likely I ain't getting nothing, at least not in the wild. But we went through there, and automatically I go to the back. I always go to the back. I always check out what games they got, what systems, what controllers, you know, any hookups that I need. Always looking for stuff. And I look through, disappointed right away, because everything there was nothing but sports titles. There's sports titles. There's even NES sports titles. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't have an NES, but there's even NES sports titles. I'm like, man, come on, you gotta give me a break. But then far in the back, I seen some Super Nintendo cartridges. I've seen a few of them. Some of them were sports titles, of course, and they're still there now. I checked yesterday. But then I seen two in the far back, and they're all $3 each. I was like, I don't know. I don't got one, but I'm gonna think about it. I went up to my wife and I was like, honey, there's these 2 games and I'm thinking about getting them, but I don't know. You know, if I got them, what, you think I'd be crazy for getting them? And she was like, well, why would you be crazy? And I said, because I don't have that system. And she looks at me and says, well, we're just gonna have to get you one. And you know, that's why I love that woman. I'm gonna say that. You just moved my camera. I'm gonna say that right now. I love that woman. But the 2 games that I ended up getting was Star Fox and Super Mario World. $3 each. And these are, I don't know if you can see that. These are like in near perfect condition. I mean, really. I couldn't ask for better. But like I said, I didn't own a Super Nintendo, so I was like, I'm gonna get these, I'm gonna keep them, because you know what? It's close to Christmas. Maybe Santa's gonna come a knocking, you know, visit a retro store. I don't know, maybe Santa does build Super Nintendos. But maybe he'll bring me one. Later that night, I get on Craigslist. I'm looking on there, and my oldest daughter, Stacy, she's 14. She's sitting next to me, and she says, she goes, what are you looking up? I'm like, oh, I'm looking for Super Nintendo. She's like, oh yeah? So you're gonna get one? I'm like, no, they're way too expensive. And I was like, well, what would be the chances that one was on here for like $25? You know? I look on there, the first thing I see, brand new, just got up that day, Super Nintendo. They wanted $30 for it. And I'm thinking to myself, you heard me. Anyways, so I answer him back real quick. I'm like, hey, you know what? How about you meet me tomorrow? I know, let's meet tonight. So I'm like, I don't know, because it's kind of late, about, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock. I tell my wife, she's like, you know what, let's just go. Because she knew how bad I wanted one. She knew what they cost. So she's like, let's go. So we get all 5 kids in the car, you know, get all wrapped up and warm, because right now it's pretty cold out here. Go driving, drop the kids off at her mom's house, and then we go off like an hour away trying to find these 2 girls. I don't know how old they were, but they obviously did not know where they were going, because it took forever. We were going around in circle after circle after circle. I mean, it was ridiculous. But eventually when we found it, I was pleased. And not only did I get a Super Nintendo, all the hookups, 2 controllers, but I also got 9 games with it. I got another Super Mario World that it's in less good condition. But I also got 2 copies of Donkey Kong Country. And the other 9 games, well, let's pull those out, shall we? Like I said, I got 2 copies of Donkey Kong Country. You know, they're decent condition. Oh, got Caesar's Palace, in case I feel like gambling. I have Clue, in case I feel like playing a board game. You know, here's one a little more interesting. Got Super Punch Out. I enjoy boxing. Then we have Urban Strike. I haven't really gotten far into that. Haven't really tested the boundaries of it. Another one I was surprised to see was the original Super Mario Kart. Now, when it comes to me, some games I just like having, especially if it's a series. I like having the first one that ever came out, because I like to compare and contrast the original from what's coming out currently. And so, you know, when it comes to Super Mario Kart, there's drastic changes. I got Super Street Fighter. It's another good title. What else did I get? Like I said, I got 2 versions of these. This one's a little bit messed up at the top. You know, it's not as good as the one I got at Goodwill, but hey, you know, that's up for trade. Find someone. And of course, I had to get this, man. This was an essential to me. When I saw this, that's what made it all worthwhile. Because there's not many games that have lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. It's The Wizard of Oz. I'm gonna give this one to my daughters. I mean, I don't know if they'll actually play it, but I put it on as soon as I was Dorothy. I don't know if I was throwing lemons or what. I was zoned out. But my actual system is over here. It's right here. My first Super Nintendo. And you may not be able to see it too well, but it's kind of dirty. But after all, this is Messi's Game. Remember, next time you put in that disc, put in that cartridge and turn on that game, play Messi, never slide.